Welcome to the Deep Dive. You've shared some really fascinating material with us today. It's from Harold W. Becker, looking at human potential through love and peace, right?
That's right. Universal love and peace.
And what struck me straight away is how personal it feels. It's not like a typical social science study, is it? More like an invitation to understand ourselves better right now.
Absolutely. It's less about abstract theories and much more about, our own experiences, how we make sense of things, and this innate capacity we all seem to have for love, for peace.
Okay.
So the aim for this deep dive is really to pull out those core ideas, this potential within us and how it's showing up in our world, especially now everything's so connected.
Like a shortcut to understanding these big concepts.
Kind of, yeah. Getting straight to the heart of it without getting too bogged down in, let's say, academic jargon.
Makes sense. So what are the main themes we're going to explore? What are we diving into?
Okay, so we'll be looking at how our awareness, you could call it consciousness, and our self-awareness are changing, evolving, and also how humanity itself seems to be transforming, and importantly, the role technology plays in this huge global shift.
Technology's role, interesting.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get into this idea of moving from basic survival instincts towards more collaborative ways of being, actions driven by love and peace.
Okay, let's kick things off with that evolving awareness. The source mentions a pretty fundamental shift. Understanding our own creativity, how connected we are, our responsibility to the planet even. It feels bigger than just, having more information online.
Exactly. It's presented almost as a collective awakening, like of the heart, a conscious kind of coming together, focusing on humanity.
A humanity-oriented planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is the focus on how we navigate this evolution peacefully, harmoniously, with this new cooperative spirit that seems to be emerging.
It does raise that question, though. How do we actually question our own beliefs when we're constantly bombarded with information, with technology? It almost forces an inward look, doesn't it?
That's a really key aspect. The source points out that alongside looking inward, we're also becoming way more aware of what we share, cultural similarities, mutual concerns.
Global problems that affect everyone.
Exactly. And that awareness naturally leads us to see, okay, we need to respect different views. We need to learn from our collective mistakes and definitely work together for a, sustainable future.
And it frames this moment as unique because of that easy access to info and tech. Like we're seeing the potential for love and peace in a totally new way.
And what's powerful here is the idea that it all boils down to a personal choice, moment by moment.
Our own intention?
Our individual intention, yeah. The source suggests it actually helps shape our world, but it's also realistic. It acknowledges this big shift from just surviving to a more universal view isn't perfectly smooth. There's going to be some, messiness, confusion.
Right. It mentions that what looks like chaos might actually be movement and opening towards mindfulness and what was the phrase? Amplified healing power of open hearts. That's quite poetic.
It really is. And this idea of needing to let go of old patterns, releasing what doesn't work anymore.
To make space for something new.
Exactly. To embrace the potential for something completely new during what it calls a quantum shift. And just to clarify, it doesn't mean quantum physics here, more like a rapid fundamental leap in understanding. In our way of being.
That makes sense. And I found it reassuring, actually, that it acknowledges fear-based actions are still out there. It's not painting some perfect overnight utopia.
No, definitely not. But it does stress that there are many, many more people choosing peaceful, loving responses. We just might not see them on the nightly news all the time.
But we encounter them day to day.
Precisely. These are everyday choices. And the source emphasizes that cultivating love and peace means being aware of our own thoughts, our own feelings, so we can figure out our individual truth. Sharing that loving energy then becomes a kind of self-responsibility.
So to see it out there, we have to cultivate it in here first. Align ourselves with that inner attitude of love and peace.
You got it. Which leads us perfectly into the next point, beginning within. Understanding our own loving potential. It talks about this journey, both personal and collective, starting when we become aware of unconditional love inside ourselves.
And this awareness isn't the end point. It's the start, leading to personal peace, harmony.
Compassion, yes. And then extending outwards, creating societal change because we're intentionally expressing that unlimited love.
It touches on history, too, how unconditional love was often seen as this super high spiritual goal, almost unreachable for most people.
And it really pushes back on that. It suggests maybe those historical figures, the ones embodying love, weren't some separate category of being. Maybe they were just ordinary people who reached a really deep, insightful awareness.
Okay.
Their message, the source argues, consistently pointed back to our inherent spiritual nature, our capacity for love, peace, equality, unity. It's within all of us.
So being conscious of this limitless love isn't about striving for something distant, but more like igniting something already present, restoring wholeness, bridging divides.
Exactly. Unconditional love is described as something that brings serenity, understanding, even where it seemed impossible before. And how do we start recognizing this? Well, it often begins with just wanting to know ourselves better.
Shifting focus.
Yeah, shifting from always looking outside for answers or validation to turning inward, observing the gap sometimes between who we really are and who we think we are, or who we've been told we are.
I like how it says that just asking how do I begin means you've already started. That question itself is a shift away from old ways towards these deeper questions about life.
It frames it very practically, not just philosophy, but really how to know and love yourself and then others unconditionally. And there's this powerful idea, each of us is a potent source of love if we just allow it to flow naturally. It's less about doing love and more about being love.
But it doesn't ignore the barriers,
Yeah.
right? The layers that hide it: hurt, fear, resentment.
Old beliefs, trauma, things that, as the source says, actually hold no real power over our true nature. But they do disrupt that natural harmony.
And living in the past or fearing the future, that keeps us stuck.
It does. Ignoring the love available right now in this moment perpetuates that feeling of limitation. And this is key, we have the choice. We can choose to release that self-created bondage, that narrow awareness.
And self-acceptance in the present that transforms the moment itself into peace, well-being.
Harmony, joy, love, yes. It outlines those first steps, letting go of limiting beliefs, forgiving past mistakes, releasing feelings of unworthiness, pride, ego, all through self-awareness and forgiveness.
It sounds like a process, not a quick fix.
Definitely. It evolves into a more natural, spontaneous way of being as we actively cultivate the positive qualities we desire. It's a journey of healing, of becoming more conscious.
And recognizing ourselves and others' experiences, the good and the bad, and in nature too. It's all connected. And this idea that our current reality reflects past thoughts and feelings, that's huge.
It's profound. And it suggests we can look deeper than just surface appearances by recognizing the underlying energy, the love within every experience. Maintaining that sustained harmony, that awareness of love, becomes the way to navigate life effectively.
So that calmness, that composure it mentions, that gives perspective, helps see the bigger picture.
Exactly. And helps release attachments, reactions, seeing them as just small parts of a much larger experience. Inner harmony lets wisdom flow. It eases doubt and fear, opens up creative solutions.
Every moment becomes an opportunity.
An opportunity to shift limited perspectives, express our unlimited potential just by choosing to meet it with love.
Harmony in thoughts and feelings equals alignment with unconditional love. That's a clear way to put it. And the core message again, know love within to see it without. Changing our perspective changes our world.
Choosing love over fear, kindness over hate, integration over separation. These are the active ways we bring unconditional love and harmony to humanity. Which brings us nicely to thinking about unconditional love in our modern era.
Right, because it starts by saying, yeah, it's often seen as idealistic, maybe even naive or unattainable.
And it suggests, let's evolve our understanding. Let's find a more pragmatic definition. It starts by defining love not just as an emotion, but as energy. A universe-permeating power we glimpse through experience.
Okay, love as energy.
And as a process, a way of living, an expansion of all our qualities, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, things like peace, joy, kindness, compassion, understanding. Engaging love means forgiveness, release, trust, patience.
And avoiding judgment or hate.
Consciously avoiding them. And it makes that stark point. Love is incompatible with fear or doubt. They just can't occupy the same space, essentially.
It lists attributes, too. Yeah. Taking responsibility, no blame, no shame, aggression, control, manipulation.
Exactly. Love, in this view, frees us from limiting beliefs, the ones that feel inner criticism, prejudice, anger, hatred, frustration. It allows lack, limitation, guilt, worry to transform into dreams, into possibilities.
So it's an attitude, a thought, a feeling, allowing our highest awareness into the present moment. And this idea that it elevates our energy frequency, impacting everything it touches.
Yeah, lifting everything. And it's an ever-evolving journey, not a static state. Which leads to that powerful conclusion: love is truly a way of being.
And the unconditional part.
Simply means without condition, without limits, unlimited, no strings attached, no stipulations, no expectations.
So putting it together, unconditional love is an unlimited way of being. It's actually quite simple but profound.
It is, isn't it? Approaching life without limits on our thoughts and feelings, choosing to share love's qualities, the source suggests this can create realities we haven't even dreamed of.
Infinite possibilities in the present moment if we just go beyond our perceived limits.
And when unconditional love is our intention, life becomes, as it says, a wondrous adventure, which naturally connects to peace. Peace as real power.
Okay, peace. It says inner stillness is where we find it, connecting to our source, recognizing oneness.
Yes. And in that awareness, we transcend duality, good, bad, right, wrong, transcend judgment, control, attachment. It's about letting go of expecting the world to be a certain way.
And just daring to love unconditionally for love's sake.
Exactly. The result, peace. The source basically says, knowing unconditional love is knowing peace. Loving without condition naturally engages peace.
It's about balancing the inner and outer reflections then. Understanding we see things uniquely, but always have that power to choose love and peace. I like how it challenges the idea of peace being passive.
Me too. It describes peace as vibrant, alive, colorful, engaging, encouraging, full of potential. It enhances creativity, and it's easily shared, expanding in these growing waves.
The dynamic energy balancing strife.
And confusion.
Wow.
And just like with love, choosing unconditional love brings the highest potential to any situation. It heals conflict. But the core message, again and again, peace begins within.
The more love we express, the more peace we feel.
And the more peace we feel, the deeper we understand its beauty. And because both love and peace exist as consciousness within us, well, the idea is they will ultimately become our collective reality.
But we have to embody it first. Share peace, love, gratitude, joy, to experience that new world.
Precisely. Having peace requires becoming peace. Knowing love requires sharing it, being at peace, exemplifying love. That allows us to experience it with others.
So it's a challenge to actively express peace daily, especially when things are tough, not just, pray for it from afar.
That's the call to action. True peace is found within. Being peace creates a world of peace. And all the things about our modern world, the diversity, the tech, the information overload, and these are actually opportunities.
Opportunities to share love and inner peace during demanding times.
Exactly. By remaining calm, centered, balanced in the moment. From that poised presence, we access infinite wisdom, inspiration.
Being our truth makes us radiating beacons, showing others the way of the heart.
Beautifully put. And finding inner peace genuinely adds to the feeling of peace for everyone. That balance allows us to release fears, doubts, become discerning about where we put our focus.
Equanimity lets us question messages objectively. Choose a loving perspective.
Release the negative stuff and return to peace, which flows right into understanding interconnected love and global peace.
Okay, so it tackles the idea of separation first, saying it's long held but artificial. And historically used for control, leading to conflict.
Yes, and now suppressing the heart's wisdom, relying only on a limited mental approach, bred doubt and fear.
But the fact that separation feels so obvious now is actually inspiring inquiry, leading us back towards unity.
That's the optimistic view presented. Knowing our connection to all eliminates doubt and fear. It brings the heart back into life, fostering collaboration, goodwill, integrity, dignity.
An art and science of exploring love and sharing it.
Yes. The peace and love we seek are unfolding intuitively, from within, restoring our relationship with life itself. It talks about the fundamental nature of life being to give and expand from particles to galaxies.
And sharing is key to that. The whole benefits from unconditional exchange, like the earth itself.
Exactly. Earth is the prime example. Exquisite exchange between plant, animal, mineral life, integrating external elements for balance. And we humans are intrinsically part of that. Our bodies come from the earth, return to it.
But our unique contribution is conscious awareness of love.
That's what allows us to interrelate in a distinctive way. We have so much to share: knowledge, experiences, ideas, creations, but truly knowing ourselves means remembering we're interconnected. Love gives deeper meaning to that joyful, unconditional sharing.
And the awakening heart questions old structures built on separation, the growing population, awareness of our impact. It's forcing a dialogue for change, towards peace.
It seems to be compelling, that dialogue. But achieving global peace requires deep personal understanding, our fundamental worth, our universal nature as empowered beings. Self-awareness is the starting point for a peaceful global culture, balanced by heart and mind.
Which leads to compassion and collaboration in action.
Right. The source points to everyday citizens, groups, NGOs, nonprofits already applying these principles to global challenges. Humanitarian assistance is becoming more focused, driven by population growth and the need for equitable resources.
And it's compassion and a vision of potential driving these frontrunners, finding solutions against the odds.
That's the idea. And alongside this, there's this exponential growth in awareness of our shared humanity consciously and through technology fostering global connection.
Shifting from just local concerns to realizing we're all interconnected, transforming division into unity.
Yeah.
Plus the environmental awareness piece.
It all comes back to that core realization. We are interconnected, interdependent, a global family, and that's what's bringing about change at all levels. Without this awareness, the source suggests, we'd likely be on a path to self-destruction.
But technology, science, information,
Yeah.
they've converged to accelerate potential, revealed our oneness, opened our collective hearts.
That's the perspective. Better information sharing, social connections, resources, they've awakened us to universal challenges. Think about having instant access to images, news, art, culture from anywhere.
It allows us to extend that family feeling globally.
It gives us the opportunity, yes. We're positioned to lead with the heart, creatively sharing wealth, skills, talent, wisdom, vision, building sustainable models for an inclusive global family.
Uniting a collective vision for good while still keeping our individual path.
And it marks a shift from top-down leadership to cooperation among sovereign individuals who recognize their own worth and potential. Self-empowerment plus thoughtful action leads to cohesive solutions, a harmonious, diverse, thriving culture.
Collaboration replacing competition is the norm, allowing collective problem solving. The web is a great example.
A perfect example of a collaborative, creation-enhancing connection. These collective dynamics allow real-time information sharing across vastly different cultures. Individuals far away become our direct teachers.
But it requires that conscious awareness, planetary brothers and sisters.
That's essential for collaborative solutions, helping, teaching, encouraging each other. Local efforts become global actions when we understand every choice has a universal impact. This paradigm of a collaborative global family promises new harmony.
Which brings us to the new generations growing up in this social technology age. It says they're uniquely equipped, more connected, informed, accelerating the shift.
That's a key point. The pace of change now is unlike previous eras, like the shift from agrarian to industrial. This trend is linked to post-war generations and the huge impact of information, technology, and expanded awareness.
Recent generations have just been exposed to vastly more information, real-time access to history, science, culture.
Exactly. And you see these labels, boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, each generation benefits from the previous one with this almost exponential growth in awareness and global humanitarian understanding.
And exposure to arts, culture, science, tech naturally encourages unity and cooperation.
It seems to. Kids growing up with direct access to worldwide communication and interaction, they develop a more holistic understanding. It's just part of their consciousness.
And they're building things, organizations, structures, based on that wisdom of interconnectedness and environmental awareness.
That's what the source suggests is happening. Plus, these recent generations have generally experienced fewer major global conflicts, more peace overall, which provides a different foundation for their lives, all leading to this final, powerful call to action. Be love, be peace.
It feels like a hopeful message, a remarkable time of returning to these core principles.
After maybe eons of feeling separate, we're remembering oneness through environmental awareness, leadership, recognizing global neighbors, self-acceptance.
And it comes back to personal effort, changing our own thoughts and feelings.
Fundamental change starts inside, that inner desire, recognizing and releasing old beliefs, choosing vital new potentials. Forgiving and releasing the past creates a reality based on love and peace now, manifesting harmony.
An inside-out approach. Listen to the heart first, then react to the world.
Find your own voice, your own ideas about life by going within. Restoring well-being, individually and collectively, means coming from our heart's center.
Basing daily decisions on inner peace, harmony, clarity, wisdom that creates positive change.
Because our thoughts and feelings are the foundation of reality. The source suggests we've become a bit lost, just reacting to externals instead of creating from our inner world.
But we can consciously shift.
Yep.
Choose a peaceful, loving reality over a fear-based one.
By choice, yes. The final message is really uplifting. Peace prevails within each of us. Together, we establish peace on earth, walk in joy and harmony.
Maybe we should quickly recap those key terms just to solidify them.
Good idea.
Okay, unconditional love.
An unlimited way of being.
Peace.
A harmonious state experienced within. A dynamic, permeating energy.
Collaboration.
Working together for the benefit of the whole.
Social technology.
Modern tech evolving global, real-time social interaction and info exchange.
Quantum.
In this context, a big leap to expanded understanding.
Consciousness.
Being aware, awake, mindful participant and observer.
The self-awareness.
Objective perspective on one's own character, feelings, motives, actions, and holistic, interconnected parts as part of a greater whole.
So wrapping this up, the main takeaway seems to be that this potential for unconditional love and peace. It isn't just a nice idea. It's real, tangible, unfolding inside us and actually shaping our connected world.
Absolutely. And your role in this, listener, is crucial. It really comes down to the power of your own awareness, the conscious choices you make moment by moment.
So for our final thought today, maybe consider just one limiting belief you might be holding on to. Just one. What would happen if you decided to release it today? How might that help you embody more love and peace and add to this global shift we've talked about?
Something to ponder. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We really encourage you to keep exploring these powerful ideas and see how they resonate in your own life.